This podcast is a Sepulveda Sanchez Law production.
Thank you so much.
Nice, man. Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you for opening your doors. I'm going to steal some more of your alcohol here.
I got you. Enjoy. That's Jefferson's Ocean.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's my favorite
really
bourbon.
Good, actually.
Yeah. Have you had this before?
I have actually not have had.
So
I've never had that before.
I love bourbon, man. I recently got into bourbon like the last couple of years.
Okay.
But apparently with this Jefferson's Oceans, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently they age the bourbon at sea.
Okay.
And they put it in like barrels and then
Interesting.
they sail it around the ocean.
Right.
That's what it says. It could be just marketing.
Probably marketing. Probably a good message.
So.
Yeah. That's so true.
Cool, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
I appreciate you being here, and man, I've heard a lot of good things about you.
You flew down, I'm assuming?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Northern California, so
Yeah.
living the life up there.
Represent, brother.
Yeah. NorCal. I was born and raised in San Francisco, so
Nice.
it's kind of interesting how, I came down to SoCal and just stayed here ever since.
You're like me, man. I was the same way. I'm a Northern Cali kid, came out here for college, and then, just started, then I ended up in PI.
That's so crazy, man. Isn't that crazy?
It is,
I'm like, it was a good mix,
Yeah.
Everyone up there is kind of like a Niner fan, Giants fan, and you come down here, it's like it's a whole nother world, man.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool.
So yeah.
So walk me through, man. So how'd you get down to LA originally?
So I came down here from Sacramento. I was going to high school over there, and I was 18 years old. And several buddies of mine were like, "Dude, we're gonna go down to Orange County, gonna make a life down there, right? Pretty much."
After you watched the OC or something?
Yeah, exactly. No. Actually, it was Laguna Beach for us, right?
Oh, okay.
That was our generation. MTV, Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
And so, dude, we just went to school down here all together, and we just kind of stayed. And some of them actually ended up going back up to Northern California, and I just gradually stayed, just started finding things to do, finding places to be at, right?
Yeah.
And, man, I just kind of found my home,
Nice. Cool.
It was weird, yeah. So,
We're at in Orange County. Did you first stay?
Irvine? So,
okay.
yeah, that was my first place, so.
Quiet,
Yeah, really different.
Okay.
Versus the honking and the excitedness of the Bay Area, stuff like that. It's just really different.
So eventually, that's where you end up in the personal injury business.
Yeah.
So tell me, your first personal
Absolutely.
injury job.
Absolutely. So I was actually working with someone named Miriam. She
Okay.
had a firm called Averick Law Firm at the time.
Cool.
And so, man, it was a job that I was just looking for something at the time that was going to be just different,
Yeah.
I wanted to step up, I wanted to actually do something that was actually meaningful. And I don't know, I saw the post and I was like, man, it's a legal job. I've always, been attracted to that type of environment.
Nice.
And so it was a firm out in Irvine, California. So
Cool. Awesome.
I started off in intake,
Awesome. Okay. Intake. All right. Did you stay in intake, or did you do case manager work too, or?
It was at the end of my career that I started doing case manager work with them. So,
what'd you like better?
man, I loved intake.
Okay, I can tell you got a good sales personality, man. So I'd say that's why you're here, right?
Yeah.
Cool, man. So how long were you at the Averick firm?
Yes, it was Averick Law. So,
Okay.
and she's based out of I think it's Newport Beach now. But
Okay, cool.
she has a whole Superwoman, super lawyer
I see the
campaign.
billboards.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
So
Cool.
yeah, it was pretty unique.
So
So
you're in intake for about a couple of years.
yeah, I would
Okay.
say it was about a couple years, and then it was on and off because it was interesting. We had this I would say just this dynamic where the team was growing. She was doing this huge marketing campaign at the time, and so she was really trying to establish her name.
Cool.
And so I really just had to run with it.
Awesome. So intake. All right, man. Cool.
Yeah.
So what made you? Okay, so now fast forward, you're
Sure.
with the Sign Up guys, and,
Yeah.
and just for everyone that's listening, Elias, this company's been awesome. I'm not just trying to pump up my boy here, but
Yeah.
he's drastically increased our conversion rates for leads out there.
Come on.
If you run a firm in California, you know how hard it is to have a good call center that's going to sign up leads, and our employees are only with us for the most part, 8
Yeah.
to 5. So we get these leads coming in, and I'm over here like, oh shit, we got a lead. I used to try to call it myself and try to sign it up. As I got more busier, I'm out to dinner with some friends, I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm like, okay, there's a lead that came in. What's gonna happen? And I'm like, okay, we send it to Elias. We connect on our Slack channel.
Yeah.
And then within minutes, I'm on it.
Take
Boom.
care of
and
it.
then within the next hour, I got the package there ready for me. We got it signed up. So
That's it.
You've been awesome. You've been awesome.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so what made you? You started your business right after Averick firm. Okay, what made you kind of like what inspired you to start your own sign-up company, sales company?
So good question. So it was the height of COVID. Everything was just happening, 2020. And I was actually working with a contracting firm who actually did the same thing that we are doing now. However, we do it on a way different scale. Yeah. And I really saw a niche, right, that was really just like only being catered to by very few companies. And so I realized that, at the height of COVID, everyone's going into shelter, right? Everyone's trying to go home, right? They're not able to go to the streets. And so essentially I literally looked at my options. I had no options.
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, like I either do this or, I do something else, right? So, and I think it was just at the height of that where, things were really going. We had money coming in still. Yeah. But it was kind of like you had no other thing to do. You could either play video games, you could go, play with your friends, right? Yeah. You're wireless, I don't know if you ever did that, but
I played during COVID. I was playing some video games.
Call of Duty, bro. Like that's all it was, Yeah. So, I mean, literally. And so, I was just ideating the entire time. I'm like, man, I could literally do this, Yeah. What's stopping me,
Sometimes it's funny that some of the most successful business owners I know, they did it out of necessity. Yeah. It was like, I gotta make money and I gotta do this. I gotta make this happen. Yes. I started off like that too. That's awesome. I remember when I graduated from law school, there was a recession, and I made my first job out of law school was making like $45,000 a year. Jeez. Then I worked for an insurance defense firm for a little bit and didn't make that much money there. And I remember I had student loans. I was like, there's no. What other options do I have? Right. You just got to make it happen. And one of my other friends out there, my friend Asa Amokma, good trial lawyer too. He the same thing. He's like, man, we started our business because we had to. This wasn't no game. Yeah, so true. That's how you do. And then all of a sudden you have that relentlessness and that focus and that hunger. Yeah. You made something happen. So that's cool. That's awesome. You're there. So. So tell me about Sign Up, guys. What cities where are you operating at in California?
We're based in all of California. So if you have offices in Northern California, Sacramento, Central Valley, Northern California, like even close to the border, Redding, stuff like that. Awesome. We cover it all down to San Diego. That's cool. We have reps that we train that know how to do this stuff. They know what kind of questions to ask. Yeah. They're not going to be. We have. Every law firm is different when it comes to their intake, right? Yeah. So we just make sure that every law firm's intake is properly put in our digital system, and we put it in a computerized, form, and that form spits out the information when our rep is with the client. So it's all typed, and then at the end of the day, it's curated. So for example, if something doesn't make sense, we're looking at it, and the description doesn't match with some of the information that we have on the intake, we call the client back sometimes and check in with them, make sure it is correct, so that when the case manager gets the file, she's ready to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's what I like when we get those files from you. Everything's packaged up, ready for us to roll. So that's good, man. Yeah. The cool thing too, what's interesting is that I've hit you up in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Like sometimes they're hustling. Someone calls from the hospital. Yeah. They're reaching out to us, obviously, or they call us at 8:00 at night. Right. Spanish speaking, they're not comfortable with emails or e-signs. Right. You're going out. Say, when's a good time? Are you able to get signed up tonight? And they're like, yeah. You do that. So do you have is your team like they're already, there's an expectation like, hey, you might get that call like in the middle of the night. You got to be willing to go do that. How do you work that out?
That's a good question. So I feel like I have people that I know that, I know them for certain things, right? Like I know that I'm not going to send it to someone that is going to say no, most likely going to say no. I'm going to send it to the hungry person, right? Yeah. One who's willing to say yes. I'll, of course, incentivize it as well, make sure that they get properly paid to go out. Yeah. But we want to be the first contact, right? Yeah. And so that's definitely going to be our focus moving forward, is we're trying to reduce the time from the time that you get that client in our hands that we get to see that client. So I know everyone's talking about e-signatures and how e-signatures is just way easy. I understand that. But there's no face-to-face with the client. Yeah. And there's no personal touch, right? And so that's what I realized was missing. And so I really believe that when our reps go out, we need to make an impact. That's it, and we want to be first and we want to be impressionable. And the only way that we can do that is by being our best, showing up, and ultimately just being there for them, right? So,
that's interesting, man.
Yeah.
So this is a question that came to mind. I was thinking, okay, so you have your certain firms that you work with, and So the way I see it is if I'm sending you out, hey, there's a client that wants to be signed up. She's at the hospital, like one of our clients just a couple weeks ago. She's at the hospital and she wanted a lawyer. She called us from the hospital.
Yeah.
When you're working with me, how do you because I kind of see you as an extension of the firm.
Yeah,
almost.
Absolutely.
So when you go talk to that client, how do you approach them and be like, if they're asking more about the law firm, even though you're not on staff with us, when they ask you, hey, how, can you tell me about Gabriel? What do you do to make sure that you're representing that firm that you're working with in a good way when you're talking to a client?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So I feel like you want to be able to personalize with at least educating yourself with the client that you're going to be serving. Every law firm is different, like I said from the beginning. And it's like you have to understand what that law firm is catering to mostly. And what I've seen is that they tend to have the similar type of client, right? Whether that's a client that's, if it's, we're in Fresno, right? And the client's a field worker, or that's, it's someone that's just working really hard. They're working, practically all day, and, they're tired, they're upset. Those are things that we try to understand ahead of time. And the only way that you can do that is with time. You start to see the same clients over and over again. You start to pick up a trend, right? Yeah. And you pick up on those trends and you start to understand what the law firm is, their marketing message. You have to understand who they're marketing to, right? There's people that are now branding themselves as just bike accident attorneys, So I think that's super important to understand, right? You need to be able to know that, if it's a, paper lead gen company that they're using, you need to know that it's a very general approach, right? The person probably doesn't know a lot about what's happening with the accident. They just need help now, right? Yeah. So I think you need to begin to feel that out in the first 3 months. I guess it's typically what it takes for us. Yeah. So
that's awesome. Well, we never had any issues with you signing our clients.
Yeah.
It's been pretty, everything's been successful. So I'm assuming that now you know me. It helps. It helps to know who the main lawyer is, the firm is, the core values, and all that stuff. When you're talking to these clients, you have to put on that switch. Okay, I'm putting this Sepulveda Sanchez law hat on. Let me, talk to this client and approach them the way Gabriel would approach them, or talk about why. Gabriel, or they're the best fit. If there's any hesitancy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, cool.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so there's sometimes the clients that are hesitant.
Yeah.
They're calling, I want to sign up with this firm. You show up and you got the paperwork there, and they get okay, I'm pulling back.
Yeah.
Big case. This is a catastrophic injury, Uber case or trucking case. What do you think is what causes clients to be hesitant? If you've been in sign-ups for so long, what is your experience with what makes people hesitant about signing that contract? You most of the time.
Man, it's just they're not informed about it, right? And then a mix with someone trying to sell them on it. It's just bad. It's just bad. And I think that, when you're uninformed and you just know that someone's going to show up to your house, or that you're supposed to sign something electronically without actually knowing what you're signing, I think that it's just a bad, and the pushiness, right? Those are all things of a bad case that's not probably going to be signed that night. Yeah. So that's typically what I'll see with these guys, is that there's just so much uncertainty. And what we tend to see from the good firms, right, that you guys are sending us cases that are already closed, right, quote unquote, if I can use that word, they're already essentially informed to the point where, okay, it's a no-brainer. I need to join these guys now, right? Yeah. And, I wouldn't say that we're a sales, company per se, but at some form we have to, I try to take away the attention from the actual signing process and focus heavily on the investigations process.
Yeah.
Because now if I'm able to collect all these details and ask them all of these questions, it's a no-brainer that we need to work with them, right?
Yeah.
So instead of me coming with the sales approach and then try to give them these, one-liners, try to close them,
Yeah.
it's not going to be good for that person in the long run.
Yeah, so you're almost relying on the firm to like, we're supposed to be doing our part and
Yeah.
and informing these clients before you go out and sign them up.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, no, that's awesome. That makes sense to me. So in this situation, so let me ask you this. Okay, so clients just say, what have you learned with? Say there's just a big case and they're just like, I'm not sure. The lawyers informed them, gave them the process.
Yeah.
Like, what is there any like sort of tips or like, not hacks, but what have you learned in like getting them to like sign that contract? You say, we've done the best. I've informed them.
Yeah.
I got great reviews. I got a good reputation. We've done everything, but then all of a sudden they're just like, I don't know.
That's good.
Anything that can you take on how you like get them to get comfortable and close them out? Right?
Absolutely.
Out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gain a friend, gain a customer.
Yeah.
You gain a friend, you're going to get a customer,
Awesome.
If I'm able to relate with them, I'm able to show them how I've been able to help other people. I've been able to help them in that moment, right? I wouldn't say we can't give legal advice, of course.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that point, we'll loop in an attorney on an emergency basis, right? But I think that before it gets to that, I think that you have to understand that they are a person.
Yeah.
They're a human being who's going through a very traumatic experience. And you, at the end of the day, you just got to feel for them, And you got to put yourself in their shoes, listen to them. And you got to listen to the body cues, right? Body language is everything. If they want to slow things down, slow down.
Yeah.
If they want to move fast and they want to give you information because they're ready to rock and roll, get that information there.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to read the room, understand who the decision maker is, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not going to talk to the decision maker. Sometimes you're talking to a family member that just wants to inquire on someone else's behalf, and you need to talk to the person who's actually afflicted, right? And those are things that I really realize have been catalysts for us when it comes to these meetings. If we can get that information before actually going, it's always going to be a done deal, But if we're uninformed as well, right? Like we have clients who like to do in-person office meetings. They like to have these Regis offices where we go to. They don't like to go to their home. Well, we want to make sure we know exactly where we're going, right?
Yeah.
To that Regis office. We don't want our guy completely confused showing up to that Regis location. Like, where do I need to go? Where's the conference room?
He's a part of the team.
Exactly. Like, who are you? Who are you?
You gotta be a part of the team. Man.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, hey, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Like,
exactly.
the lawyers come in. Who's this? I'm with Elias. Oh yeah, he's cool.
Yeah. It's like, there's no validation there. Like, you just lost control.
We all gotta be on the same page.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, I don't think of it stuff like that. So
I'm telling you, man. And I've seen it to where we've lost kind of like the the rapport that we've built because of that. If they think it's supposed to be some streamlined process, and then we just get in there and we just butcher that, we've communicated with them that we are not the best option for them.
Man, you're talking, you lose hundreds of thousands of dollars and make a client.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
very important. So
Yes.
to sign up, in my experience with being in business 7-8 years, it's like, man, it's gotta be on point.
Yes.
You gotta really just make sure these people feel comfortable. You gotta inform them, and your intake person is one of the most important people in that team. You're the face of the firm. So you wouldn't want to send just some random person out there to go sign up a big client.
Right.
So yeah, it's a team game. Okay, so you worked with approximately how many firms do you work with in California?
Right now, we're working with 12 legit firms.
Okay,
We're getting streamlined business.
Okay.
Overall, we've have about 15, 16
Okay.
firms that we've onboarded.
Okay, so I know this is a question I had because when I first signed up, when I first got to know you, I'm like, okay, man, I don't want to. How do I know this guy is not going to send my lead to someone else?
Yes,
I'm sure
yes,
other lawyers
yes.
are feeling like that. So, how does your approach how do you make sure that if I send you I got a huge case, big trucking case that comes into my firm. Tell me, how do I trust that you're not going to farm that out?
Good question. Good question.
I know you wouldn't.
Trust.
I've done it, but
Yeah,
that's
no.
what a lot of people think.
Of
They say,
course.
man, I don't want to sign up guys to take my
Listen,
case.
I've been in this industry long enough to realize that there is shady stuff happening, and you just have to understand that it's going to take time for your clients to trust you.
Yeah.
And that's all I ask. Give us time, okay? If we mess up, one thing that we do when we fail signature, right? Because that does happen, right? There's a client that doesn't want to sign, right? We didn't do our job. We didn't effectively communicate with them. We didn't give them a proper solution, right? They already maybe have a family member who's already going to have a meeting with them tomorrow, right? Yeah. But we were the first ones that got there. That happens, right? So in that case, what I would say is that we want to make it clear to the attorney that we have no attachment to the contractor itself, and it's all completely anonymous. Yeah. So when the contractor that we send out, okay, wants to get in touch with the client to set up an appointment, it's all anonymous. They don't have any of that person's phone number, that person's email address. They don't have any of that person's direct contact. They just know that it happened, and they knew where to meet them, right? That's all. Yeah. Now, once they get there, they obtain that information, and it becomes relevant, right? Yeah. Well, we want to make sure that there's safeguards in place so that doesn't happen, okay? And now, number two, I really believe that at the end of the day, it's going to take for you to really work with us as well to essentially make, I guess we have to come to an agreement, right? That these things are not going to happen by creating these safeguards as well, right? Yeah. And they can be custom safeguards, because like I said, everyone gets their cases different. So who's the last one that touches it? All I can say is that at the end of the day, the only people that can know that this is happening are the admin department, and even the customer service department doesn't even see the phone number, even believe it or not. So I think if I could say anything, it's just the anonymous, right? Yeah. The anonymous feature that we have in our system. Yeah. They don't have any direct contact information directly with the client. They can't talk to them afterwards. We never allow them to give them their phone number. We never allow our investigators to give the phone number to the client exactly because we don't want them to have any follow-up later on, right? Hey, how's my case going? They were never supposed to be the ones to talk to you in the first place. So they were just there to get the information and then take care of it, right? Yeah. So anyway, hopefully.
That's the thing. When I first heard, I'm like, I don't know about this stuff. I tried it out, and it's been good. You got signed up some of our bigger cases out there.
Absolutely.
And, it's just those urgencies. For me, it's what I like the most about your company is we're on Slack, obviously. Yeah. If I got a case that comes around now, I'm like, okay, I need someone to sign it up. They don't want to e-sign, whatever. Yeah. Or if I need you to do the e-sign, you can do that. But you're within a minute, right instantaneous. You're like, okay, we're on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I like. And it's like in all times of the freaking day.
Yeah.
I've hit you up at 11 o'clock at night and get this thing, and they want to call them up, set up an appointment. You're there in the morning.
Absolutely.
And that's what's been the best thing I've seen with your service is just on demand.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's people with employees. They have their own lives and all this stuff. And even me, okay, I'm at dinner, I can't go run out and sign this person right now. I could if it's the big case. So I can't get a hold of someone for some reason, but it's been it's been very instantaneous.
That's awesome.
It's been awesome, man. Awesome.
One of the things I really want to make clear is that I listened to this guy named Patrick Bet-David, and he really talks about how you have to outlast your competition. And the only way that you can outlast your competition is by being so competitively consistent with your product and your service that no one can compete with you. Yeah. You're so good at what you do that they will continue to hate on you until that's all they could do. They'll talk about you. They'll gossip you. They'll look what they did to Michael Jordan. All they could do was talk trash about him. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Kobe. Talk trash about him. But they never wanted to go through the sacrifice. Mm-hmm. And I know what that sacrifice looks like. Yeah. And I know what it means to get a new case, to onboard. I mean, if I could just onboard one big rig case for an attorney, imagine how much value. I mean, it builds so much value. I really believe in that, and I really believe in long-term business. Yeah. I'm not very short-sighted on things. When I make long plays, I understand that about a customer. Yeah. And so I don't want to just gain a law firm that's going to be with us very short-term. I want them to be with us forever. Yeah, you see them as almost like a partner. Absolutely.
Partners with them. Yeah, and build that trust. And
absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So you guys have been great so far. Everything's been good.
Thank you.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so you worked with different firms. You work for firms. you work with firms right now.
Yeah.
What, you know, I know you don't want to badmouth anyone. We're not here to do that. But if you would say, what separates like the good firms? You see, like, man, these guys got it together. The clients seem happy.
Yeah.
Then the firms are like, man, it's just something's not right.
Yeah.
What do you think, like, when it comes to like, what do you, in your experience, what separates what are the good firms doing that the bad firms aren't doing?
You're gonna make me tell on the bad firms, huh?
Don't do that, man. That's like, because you might lose us both.
Listen to me.
Right,
I respect you guys all. I respect you guys all equally.
Some of those guys are firm cases.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you, man. We got to be very low key. I'm not going to name anybody tonight. No, I'm just kidding. No, I really am not. But I think that ultimately, what separates a quality firm from a bad firm is the following. I think that a good firm is going to have a system in place, right? They're going to have a funnel, and they're going to have, I refer to it as a funnel because, when you look at some of these lead gen companies, they have ways of capturing that lead's attention. They know when it starts to all the way to when they sign a paper, right? And I think the same thing is equally fair with the law firm, right? You need to understand the law firm needs to literally take that case from intake to close, right? And how you do that is very, very important. Now, communication is big. These big firms that I know that are taking care of their clients, they have communication systems in place. They're always following up with them. They have appointments, automatic appointment alerts in their system. Those are things that are very, very important. And, to us, or to a case manager, let's say, I know it's very hard in the mundane, right? To like deal with these same things over and over again, but you have no idea how vital your job is, because at that point you could essentially be dealing with a very minimal, $15K policy or a multi-million-dollar and not even know it, right? If you're not careful. So I think obviously there's, the big firms, they know how to take care of their clients at the end of the day when it comes to communication. And then not only that, I think that, they know how to walk them through the process. I've seen it as far as they even, they have like client concierge, where they actually, have people go out to meet with them at their homes, things like that.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
They'll just sit down with them, check them out, especially the higher cases, right?
Oh yeah.
It's just like
top-notch. You have top-notch service. You can, especially if you're gonna make a huge fee on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when one of our trucking cases, we approached it similarly. My mother's a home healthcare nurse.
Oh wow.
She has her own home healthcare business in Northern California, and with my big case, I'm like in Stockton. I'm like, hey, you're on this. I was like, hey, go there, go supervise the wound care.
Yeah.
Go make sure he's okay, he's comfortable.
Yeah.
And do you have a client concierge, something like that, is checking in and making sure they're happy and the families are happy. It goes a long ways, and customer service and the client experience is so important. So that's I definitely see that. So now opposed to the firms that aren't really doing that, what do you see? What is it that they're not happy? They don't have systems in place. They're not talking to the client. What do you notice with what to not do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what you definitely, if you want to be a bad firm, right, you're definitely going to not follow up with your clients, right? You're not going to call them up after we've signed them up, right? You're not going to, you're not going to reach out to them and set them up with treatment, right? You're not going to make sure that,
Yeah, that sounds all bad.
And believe it or not, it happens. It happens. Mm-hmm. Not with some of the firms I work with, but it happens because I've seen it personally with other firms. Or I've seen it with a firm that we used to work with that no longer we work with, but it was a very common thread. And then the thing is that it turns into a whole blame game. Yeah. Whose fault really was it? It was your fault. It was your fault. It was your fault. And there's this whole, they're not accepting responsibility. They're not actually moving forward and taking action on the problems that they have. Yeah. And I think that you can only put up with that for so long before you start to realize, your cases are going down. Yeah. Because you're not actually doing what you said you were initially were going to do in the first place. False promises too, right? We're going to say, hey, we're going to be the top-notch lawyer, and then we're not giving them top-notch results. Well, your client's going to leave, especially when they see one of these videos that say, hey, have you ever thought about giving a second opinion? It's like, how many videos have we seen, right? It's like, it's so common now.
Just in the personal injury industry, there's your room for your margin for error is very small.
Yes.
There's too many lawyers that will just try to get your client, or there's too many options out here.
Yes.
So if you're running a PI firm, you have to be like you have to bring your A game because there's
Yes.
guys out there that will. There's guys like me that'll take, you know,
Exactly.
If your client ain't happy, it's
If you're
like
sleeping.
If your girlfriend ain't happy, I'm your man. I just
Dang,
clients is like it's like dating. There's just too many.
Yeah.
It's like dating in LA. It's like
I hear you.
Everyone's got options. You
Everyone,
got options, I got
yeah.
options, you know.
That's so funny, bro.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just how it is. You know. And here's the thing. Like we have a Stockton office.
Okay.
In Los Angeles, and that's what I see in Stockton. It's my hometown. I love Stockton. I love the people in Stockton. Guys are sleeping at the wheel.
Yes.
Not just in Stockton. They're sleeping at the wheel a lot of places in California.
Yes.
And the way I see some of these smaller towns, you know, Fresno, Bakersfield, wherever these guys,
absolutely.
even Sacramento,
Yeah.
they're not approaching this as a business.
Right.
They still have this mindset where I'm the lawyer, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to you when I'm ready.
Yeah.
Call me. You make an appointment. You don't just call me. That's the way a lot of these firms are in smaller towns.
Yep.
I mean, they're great lawyers. I have friends that are great lawyers in you know where I grew up. But you can't be like that nowadays.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand it's a business and people, you know, expect a certain level of customer service. And, and if you don't provide that, then someone else will. Yeah. So I noticed, you know, some of these other firms in the smaller towns, it's like, man, you signed up this guy, you haven't called him, like, or you have him signed up, and you didn't file the lawsuit, like it's right before the deadline, you're gonna file it 2 years later, like that's a lot of people still operate like that, and that's why you're seeing these LA firms come in here in these smaller towns and just freaking pillaging and raping, man. It's just like, you know, that's coming.
Absolutely.
And I always tell them, like, hey, man, you better just be ready because it's, you know, these guys they're figuring it out.
Absolutely.
They're figuring it out, like, you know, and, you know, you can be you know, we're all sharks here. I mean, in Los Angeles, as far as the personal injury industry goes,
absolutely,
we're over here pounding our chests and,
you
know, doing what we got to do. So when we come out to, you know, Bakersfield or you know, Stockton, dude,
and show up,
bring it,
mm-hmm.
bring it. You know,
exactly.
It's like that. It's like a mob guy coming into the small town. It's like,
mine now.
I'm over here. I'm like, hey, we're providing top-notch customer service.
Yes.
We got 5-star reviews. We're just getting big settlements up there, doing more, you know, providing all the service. And some of these guys aren't doing that out there, man. They're just not. And I think that people need to, man, just don't take this industry, don't take your law license for granted because we have a lot to. There's a lot of competition. We have a lot to offer. You know, there's some guys will out there take your case.
They'll take
your
it.
Girl.
They'll take it. They will take it all. They're gonna take everything.
They take it all, man. I don't do these out here. I know, man. I always tell them. I had a conversation with one of my employees today because you know, I love Eric. I'm gonna put him on blast right now. You know, we had two leads come in and they're Spanish speaking. They weren't sure about, you know, why do I need a lawyer? I can do this on my own.
Right.
So Eric, hey man, they're on the hold. Oh man, you know what? We're gonna set an appointment for, you know, we'll call them in the back in like an hour. I gotta do this. So Eric, the minute we hang up on them, they're gonna call the next firm.
Yes.
Get off. I don't care. You know, the most important thing here is sign up clients.
Right.
Settling cases, trying cases, and making people happy.
Absolutely.
That's right. Boom. So yeah, you know, dude, man, you get them because it's someone else. They'll go to the next dude.
Especially the Spanish community, right?
Yeah.
It's like like I grew up in a Spanish household. You know, it's like we're very emotional people, right? It's like we understand that our moms and our grandparents, right? They're very, you know, they watch novelas, you know, they do all these things, and they, you know, it's like in their, I don't know if it's just the culture in general. It definitely has to just be the culture in general. You know, they take these things very, very personally. Yeah. And if you don't, like you said, if Eric didn't call in that moment, you know, who knows what could have happened, you know? And I see it happen so often. Yeah. And it's just like, and then who are you going to blame? Are you really going to blame him? Or, you know what I'm saying? It definitely was his, I mean, you could have at that point. No. But at the same time, it's like, you know, it definitely has to be a team effort too.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
And, you know, we're always doing so many things and I just think that, you know, if you can have a meaningful conversation with your client and actually share meaningful things with them, right? I think that you also, you know, it also brings it in closer, right? Yeah. It's like a bank account. How can you cash out from a bank account that you haven't been depositing into, right? Exactly. So it's like the same thing with the relationship. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. Definitely, man. I totally agree. So let me see what other questions I have here, because I know I wrote some stuff.
You've been burning through them, bro.
I know.
I'm like, bro, you said this is going to be unofficial. And I feel like I'm in a job interview over here.
I just like having, flowing with it, but a lot of times I'll cover all my topics here.
You burned right through them, brother.
That's fine, man. So let me ask you. Let me see what we got.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. Yeah, go ahead. Take
bourbon.
Some. Okay, so let's see here.
Ooh, yeah.
What do you, if there's some principles with signing that case, and if there's anything you had to teach someone, or for example, say I'm a new guy and then I get hired on the intake, or I'm on your team now. What is it like, if you had to put in a mini paragraph or a few sentences, like how to make sure they sign that contract and come with you? What do you think, like you would, what's some good, like a good, not a hack, but like a gold nugget when you're like, hey, when it comes to sales and signing up people?
Good question. I think that I kind of peeked into a little bit earlier, and the investigations process is important. I think that when you're asking them and how you're asking them the questions places you as some sort of authority, right? You're not just some Joe Schmo, right? Yeah. You're not just some guy who just got off the street. At least that's what they think, right? Which probably sometimes, and I've had to do that. I literally just got some guy. I'm like, you're out there, dude. You got it. You're the only option. And I've been to cities, towns. California has. I mean, it's just, if you ever have a chance to explore California, do it, because I've actually gone to these cities myself. I actually end up meeting these people in person, so I don't want to just have them isolated, right? Yeah. Having a relationship with us over the phone. I actually want to build a relationship with them in person. So I'll actually stop in their town and I'll actually go meet them, have lunch with them, stuff like that. So, but I think the investigation process it's imperative. You cannot think that. For example, one of the things I used to think was, why don't we do the intake in-house and then we do the in-person signing, right? Yeah. Because they can't sign, that's the whole point. Yeah. But then again, it's like, you can't do that without, it has to be one with the other. They have to be companions in that matter. Because I think that at the end of the day, if you have this thorough intake, you've asked them all these questions, you listened to them, you were sympathetic, you were endearing, right? Those are the things that's going to get you past the signature, right? It's easier to hear 35% when, it's like, damn, 35%, damn, 40%?
Putting me on blast.
Damn. No, bro, that's fine. Bro, get out of here. That's everybody.
They want
that's
me.
Everybody. That's what I'm saying. But I'm just,
fine.
And then instead of going this route of 25%, I've seen attorneys like, dude, like 25%? 25%?
Yeah.
Like, dang, dude, like, what are you doing? And then they do the most shadiest stuff ever for the client.
Yeah.
So it's like, you got to tell the client, you got to set it up right. Hey, man, what I'm doing here with you right now is I'm walking you through a process. We're going to take care of you. That's what you have to realize, is that we're literally going to take care of you, hold your hand through this entire process.
That's awesome. I just learned something from you.
Are you serious?
I was doing...
Dang, bro.
I've done that, but then you made me realize, like, why that's been working.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, you don't just show up, hey,
yeah.
Hey, sign right here.
Yep.
Oh, how much? That's 35, 40% we file.
Wait, what?
Oh, what? So you tell me you come in like a cop, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, name, date of birth.
Yeah.
Social, how the accident happened.
Yeah.
Insurance, ER. What are your injuries? Where's your pain?
Yeah.
Where do you work?
Yeah.
There it is. Kids.
Yeah. We get their whole thing.
Kids, pictures, photos.
Yeah.
Photos. All right, sign here. Sign here.
What am I signing?
35.
For what?
I love it though. It's true, man. It's true. You gotta come in like, you gotta, get the information first, and then like,
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry you went through that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that must have been traumatic. How are you doing now?
Yeah.
Like, and
where's your pain at? I listen.
Yeah.
Man, when I'm signing clients, or I know, you gotta ask like, hey, where's your pain? And I have a chart. The head pain. Like, I'm almost like a doctor.
Yes.
Head pain. Right arm, left arm,
yes.
knee, left knee. And you genuinely, it has to come from a place where you genuinely care and you want to gather information. But yes, I get it. Like, that's so true. I'm like, man, like, so what about this whole thing about, and I've learned this with sales, like, don't let him get off the phone.
Right.
Get him to sign that damn contract.
Right now, you're gonna sign with me right now.
Yeah. So what do you think? How do you feel about getting that whole theory? Like you have him on the phone or you have him there, you get him to sign that.
Listen, I think that at the end of the day, you want to talk to them in a way where getting off the phone would be the worst mistake that they can make for themselves. I know that sounds so bad to say, like, you're trying to control them on the phone. It's not that I'm trying to control them to be in that conversation with me. It's just that both I and they know that if we hang up right now, someone's going to get in the mix, someone's going to do something, and they're going to do something to get right. It always happens to be some cousin, some aunt. Oh, you better not hire no lawyer because they're going to screw you over. I got a lawyer last time. And then, it turns out to be some, like, completely different case. You know what I'm saying?
Family friend or something. I tried my lawyer and he does bankruptcy and family law.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, no. I don't know.
Have no idea. Oh, they do bankruptcy. They do family law. They do DMV registrations. I've seen one attorney do. I'm like, bro, you're doing DMV registrations. You're not making it. Yeah. Like, bro, just stop. And so it's just like, I don't know. It's just crazy.
Things that came to mind right now is just sales is this, man, it's crazy. All these ideas that come when you're talking. It's like signing up a personal injury client is just like, it's like dating. It's like building relationships. It's like, get to know the person, get to know what happened to them, their injuries, what happened, how's your life been affected.
Absolutely.
And gather information, where you, are you, are you divorced, you're married, you have kids, all that stuff, whatever it is, like, it's like, and then you can build that rapport, and then finally it's like, okay, here, like, just sign the contract.
Just sign my contract right here.
It's just like dating. It's like,
I've joked with them. I've joked with them.
Work. It's like, what do you like doing? You like skydiving? You like hiking? Cool. That's ready for the second date, or let's go have a drink. Let's go have a drink at my house. If you're comfortable.
You literally listen.
It's human nature. Sales is human nature, man.
I've had a family member. Okay, I'm gonna put this on record. I've had clients invite me to their daughter's quinceañera because they thought like the experience was so above and beyond. They're like, dude, you're a part of our family now. Like, you want food? I'm like, no. Like, I'm only gonna be here a short amount of time. Like, that's how like that's how you're in. It's like,
dude, it's a
if
good
you,
feeling.
It's an amazing feeling.
It's when they're invested.
Yes.
I love that when some of my biggest clients or guys that I've just done great jobs for, and everyone's happy with the results. Like, they're literally like, it feels like family. Oh, Gabe's in town. Right. Oh, hey, come over, Gabe. We're gonna have a barbecue, or come over. I just bought this new pool table.
That's awesome.
You got the money, the settlement that you got them. Whatever.
I got you that pool table, huh?
I love that, man. So I think the takeaway, this conversation with you is just like, it's not just signing up clients. It's human behavior, like connecting with that person, coming from a genuine spot,
right?
Getting to know them. And then when you want something from someone, you want them to sign that contract. You want them to go on that second date. You want them to come work for your firm.
Right.
You get to know them, and then you ask for. You got to ask for the business mission. Right. You got to ask for them to sign that contract.
Right.
But, it's crazy. And it's having this conversation with you. It's kind of you makes you realize what it is that you've been doing that works.
Absolutely.
Now you're kind of stepping back and putting a label.
Absolutely.
Like, this is why I've been doing that, and this is why it works.
Right.
Awesome, man. Cool.
Absolutely. And one thing I would say, because I know we're going to be going here soon, but is that at the end of the day, you highlighted something about firms, wanting to actually trust, right? How do you get a firm to trust us? And I think that's the only way. I mean, it's going to have to take enough of those experiences to say, well, listen, they're dealing with people that are reputable. We're not going to work with unreputable people, put it that way. Yeah. And I'm not going to jeopardize my company just because I want to make a quick, $5,000.
Not worth it.
It's not worth it. So I appreciate you, and this has been
great
fun.
working with you, Elias. I'm 100%. I'm like, hey man, this guy's a good dude. My client, man, you've been signing up some of our biggest cases. We trusted with you to go sign up.
That's awesome.
It's been great. It's cool. You're from Northern California. We're different. Different breed up there.
Big
I always
time.
say this joke. I'm like, whenever I meet someone from Northern Cali, Stockton, Sacramento, if I'm out here in LA and I meet someone, I'm always like, okay, shit hits the fan. I know that I'm gonna align with this guy because I know these dudes can fight.
Oh, bro.
No problem.
Exactly. You ain't going. Yeah, you ain't going home.
Someone
Yeah.
from Stockton or Sacramento, if a girl or a guy, I'm always okay. I know what shit's the fan. I know where I'm running. I'm staying right next to the
That was
Elias.
hilarious. We throwing down. We are throwing down. We are
Everyone
not
does,
afraid.
man, yeah.
We are not afraid. Bro,
I see
that's
that
so
big old
true.
NorCal truck you got
Bro,
outside,
that's it.
dude.
That's how we do it in Northern California, man. You got big lifted trucks. That's it.
Cool, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on, brother.
Of course, Gabriel. I
it, man.
appreciate
Good
you,
seeing
brother.
man.
You're going to
Good
knock
seeing
that mic down.
man. No worries, brother.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond the Bar. If you enjoyed this episode, please share and subscribe to the podcast. For more podcast episodes, please visit sepulvedalawgroup.com/podcast.